stress is a contributory factor to obesity.
Yes. So what's the future for our kind of society that worships sugar?
Control what comes into your mouth. If not, you'll be digging your grave with your teeth. Because these things have side effects.
Hello and welcome to Novo TV Live. My name is Gray Amona, and on this segment of the program, we are looking at obesity. This is a medical, biological phenomenon of obesity, the dangers, early discovery for children, and things that are related to the occurrence of the condition, physical condition. And with me to do justice to this production is Pastor Mrs. Anissa. You're very much welcome.
Thank you, sir.
So let's start with something that affects the entire human race. Independent of race, independent of ethnic origin. Yeah. As long as you are subject to a particular regime of diet or gene, because some say it is attributable to gene, some say that it is basically how you eat. So what can we say what can you say generally is the condition of obesity, the causes, and how to manage the problem?
Obesity is it has to do with accumulation of excess fat. Okay. In the body, and there are so many things that can bring about that. How do you get to know whether somebody is obese or not? Most times you have to, for the adult, you have to check your body mass index, and that has to do with your weight versus your height. But for children, you can still use the body mass index, but you use it alongside growth chart of that child. Okay. So based on the age of the child. Also for the adult, it's not just the body mass index that you should use. You also make use of the waist circumference of the adult. So there are certain landmarks or benchmarks that you get to know this person is overweight and this person is obese. So for an adult, if your BMI, that's the body mass index, yes, is about 25, then you are overweight. By the time it's 30, you are obese. But it's a little limited because sometimes for people who are involved in athletics or who carry weights, these bodybuilders, yes, they can still have a body mass index of 30 and they are not obese. So to conclude that somebody is obese, you must have done the body mass index and also check, especially for the adult, and also check the waist circumference. The circumference has to do with for that of a male, if the waist circumference is up to 40, you are obese. Yes, and for the female, 35. Yeah. So
if it's below that index, the person is free from it. As for the male, if it's below 40.
Yes, if it's below 40. Yes.
So why is the index computation lighter for women? Because we say for women it's 35, but yes, not really the prejudice within the society is that the woman is more attuned to gain fat, especially with the issues of birth and all such occurrences.
Well, I think it has to do with studies that they have done over time and gotten to know that at a certain body mass index, the male is more affected than the female. Also, it's not just that. Certain tribes, like somebody who is a Chinese, having a body mass index of 30 is already obese. So for a Chinese, because generally they have small structures. Yes. So you look at about 23 to 25 as their own borderline. But for certain tribes, it could the onset of the side effects of obesity may not commence at that body mass index.
Okay. So, incidentally, your description has a kind of a traversed early discovery
Yes.
symptoms, kind of. So let us now go to how we are disposed to manage the problem.
There are so many things that can make people to become obese. One of them is daily living, the kind of things we eat, and our mobility. These days, because of the onset of use of phone, laptop, people working from home, you notice that your screen time is even more than the time that you move about. So people are more or less living a sedentary life. They don't move around, they don't do any exercise, and it makes that many other things are out of order in our lives, in our bodies, especially the hormones that are supposed to help in controlling your hunger and satisfaction. When those things are out of place, you can eat continuously and you are never satisfied. So there is a complex thing. Yeah.
So, in other words, sedentary lifestyles, they could also lead to gaining BMI, body mass index.
Yes, it can.
Okay.
And the kind of food you eat, these days people no more cook. They don't cook at home. They like to eat fast foods.
Coming to that.
Yes, they like to eat fast foods, and they like to indulge in certain types of food. Sugars and fat, fried things.
Okay.
And once you take more than your body can, that's the calories that you take in is greater than your body can make use of. The rest is deposited as fat.
Okay. So it is now
and it builds up over time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what about the factor of gene? Can we say the obese condition also connects with genetic conditions?
Yes, it does, but it doesn't mean it doesn't work alone.
Okay.
Because I've seen people in some families, they are fat, but somebody may just decide, I don't want to be as fat as the rest of my siblings, and so I'll control what I eat, and then they will not end up being as fat as they are. So gene, yes, but it's not. Obesity is a complex matter, but number one on the list is food. And our way of life.
Okay. So with a society that is feeding so passionately on sugar, because somehow society is sugar obsessed. You come across young people.
Sugar is very addictive.
Yes. So what's the future for our kind of society that worships sugar?
Control what comes into your mouth. If not, you'll be digging your grave with your teeth.
Okay.
Control what comes into your mouth. You have the willpower to do that, because these things have side effects. Obesity is associated with cardiac, heart disease, diabetes, so many other infirmities that come along or are associated with obesity. So why not take control of what comes into your mouth and the quantity that comes into your mouth? You have the power to do that.
Okay. So what about the factor of race or ethnic origin? There are some ethnic communities that more than 90% are far from obese in physical stature, like the Fulani. you can count number of Fulanis. The
Fulanis are nomadic in their way of life. They are always moving around. They are moving around. But I know of a tribe. Those days we used to use that to laugh. They can sit down. They are generally very fat. And in the kitchen, they want to cook. I don't want to mention the tribe. They want to cook. Please, can you get me that spoon? The pot is in front of them. They can't stretch their hand to get the spoon. Get me the water leaf. Get me, in fact, there's a disease associated with that tribe name. Yes, I don't want to mention the name. And they just sit there like a pot. They are like supervisors in their kitchen. They are not doing anything. Get me that pot. Okay, put on so a lot of things they do. And It still has to do with our activity.
Okay.
It has to do with the food that we eat.
In conclusion, what can a relevant health institutions, also involving government too, because government has health and commitment to do, in order to reduce the burden of obesity?
Most often, what the health institutions do is to sensitize, let people know the food you eat can kill you. You know, another thing that can make that people begin to gain weight is the kind of drugs that people take. Anti-suppressant drugs, even some beta blocker drugs. There are so many drugs that can actually make people to gain weight. But in spite of taking those drugs that have ability to make you to gain weight, you can still balance it by the food, the things you eat, the quantity you eat, and when you eat it. Some people, they are almost, when it gets to food, when they are worried, they eat. When they are afraid, they eat. They are almost like, when they are depressed, they eat. It is like they are, I don't know, they are married to food. Have you ever seen a fly that loves palm wine so much that he doesn't know when he has entered the palm wine and is inside there? So some people, they have become so addicted to food and they do not know. Yes, there's food addiction.
So your advice is for such situations to be curtailed through self-discipline or
self-discipline, because sometimes people, all they do, exercise, move around. Just walking around your compound can help a lot. Then be careful what you eat. Most of these minerals, soda, all of those things, I'm told that a bottle of Coke contains about, is it 8 to 14 cubes of sugar, so all of those things have effect. And you can curtail what you eat. You can choose what you eat. You can reduce the quantity, and when you eat it, you don't need to, some people, when one's food, the quantity they put, I hear some people say, if you put the food, whatever quantity you put on my plate, I have to finish it. I cannot waste it. It's a wrong mindset. You mustn't finish it. One other factor that can contribute to obesity is stress. Nigerians are working under stressful conditions, and they do not know when to say no and rest. Many people don't rest, they don't sleep because they want to make all the money online. Stress is a contributory factor to obesity. So find time to rest and eat well. Eat food that will help you, healthy foods. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our guest on the program, Pastor Melissa Nizo, says it's all in addition to the factor of self-discipline. Avoid much of sugar and avoid stressful conditions. You must include stress in your regime. It's very important. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you.
So see you, like, share, and subscribe, and of course don't forget to click on the notification button for the necessary blues and glitter. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Causative.